G'day legends, today we're going to be talking about the fight fixing scandal that is taking over the UFC and just questioning how deep this rabbit hole goes. Now, we did a lot of this yesterday on the live stream, so if you're like one of the 20 people that was on yesterday's live stream, just have yourselves a great day. Give the video a like, maybe play it in the background if you want to help boost the algorithm. But these videos do generally get like 100 to 200 views, so there's a few other people that weren't on that live stream, and we came up with some pretty great theories and questions to us, so I'm going to make this video anyway, okay, boys? That's what we're going to be getting into today. Now, we're going to be looking at the levels of the rabbit hole and just asking how deep this goes. That doesn't mean I believe every single thing here. Like, we are diving properly here into the world of conspiracy. So just know, just because I'm asking these questions doesn't mean I'm 100% saying that this is happening. These are just things that we do need to consider and think about now as we start to pick apart all the little information that has been coming out. Okay, so obviously, let us begin. This weekend, there was a fixed fight in the UFC. I do believe there was a fixed fight in the UFC. Now, there hasn't been any criminal convictions, but considering that there has been refunds from some of the betting companies for the Isaac Delgarian versus Yadir Delval, I always have trouble pronouncing his name, but considering that, he has now been fired from the UFC, he's been cut from the roster, there has been refunds, there has been flagged activity from the FBI, without there being an actual arrest, we can pretty much safely say that that was 90% a fixed fight. Now, the problem is starting to stem from, was this an isolated incident or not? And the answer seems to come from this tweet from Harry Mack. Update, federal regulators have flagged over 100 UFC fights this year for abnormal betting patterns, including 2 additional fighters on last night's card. David Onama is someone to look at. He's been accused of fight fixing before in the past and also comes from Factory X. And when you look at that main event, it looks very sus with how little David Onama has tried. Shit is about to get very ugly for the UFC. Still working to confirm, but it sounds like the feds are moving to audit Jason Herzog fights. And look at this, flagged over 100 UFC fights this year. This is where we start to get really deep into the rabbit hole. Now, we got a question. Where does this source come from? At first, I'm just like, this is just Harry Mack. This isn't exactly one of our Ben Davis, news reporters out there, the Ariel Hawanis, the Luke Thomases, the proper reporters that have built up a lot of credibility in our industry. This isn't one of those guys. Until Ariel, did some digging and confirmed old Harry Mack's tweet here.
My understanding is this is on the FBI's radar. How deep of an investigation is unclear at this time. This is all very new. But yes, it is accurate. I believe there's a gentleman named Harry Mack on social media who is having a nice little victory tour after all this, and I'm sure he's gonna have another one. I'm not familiar with his work, but he did write that yesterday, and so that is my understanding. And my understanding is that this is not an isolated incident. And what I mean by that is, I have talked to multiple people who have either experienced or know of others who experienced situations where they have been approached about their willingness to do something like this. So I have been told by multiple people that they have been approached, they have been talked to, and said, "Are you interested in this? Are you interested in throwing a fight for X amount of dollars?"
And yeah, unfortunately, this has been confirmed by the fighters as well. A few fighters have come out and said that they have been offered money to throw their fights, which is really sad to see. And it just sort of confirms it not only from the best journalist in the game's end, but also straight from the fighter's mouth as well. Like, we got Vince Morales saying all this fight throwing stuff is crazy, and I have been approached about doing it. Not something that I could live with, even though I ended up losing every damn fight anyways. At least he laughs at himself. He got offered up to 70K, which I'm sure is just like the starting offer to see if the fighter is interested. Vanessa Demopoulos has also said, people have approached me to throw fights also. My integrity could never. We've spent our lives learning our skills and honoring the sport. I can't believe people compromise their morals like this. Now, Lando Venata also came out as well. However, Lando Venata came back and said that was a joke. So this is something to point out here. And Eric, one of the viewers on the live stream, talked about this. Like, are some fighters just going to come out and say this to claim social points and say like, yeah, I've been offered fight fixing, but I would never do it, guys. I'm one of the real ones. There is a little bit of that going on, I'm sure, right? But there is also the fact that these fighters, they're there to be taken advantage of, and people are going to say, well, Fighter P would fix this. Fighter pay would certainly help against this, I feel, but at the end of the day, right, like we have seen this in the NBA with players that are on $9 million contracts and they're still throwing away fights. Someone check Nancy Pelosi. She's really good at playing the stock market. Do you know what I mean? We see corruption. Anywhere there is an ability to have corruption, corruption will be had. Now, obviously, we're talking about MMA fight fixing. At least 100 fights. 100 fights this year is crazy to think about. Crazy to think about. And the problem with it is, it's so easy to do. It's so easy to do. David Onama, you just give up in the first round, right? Try and make the fight go to the second round. Don't throw much in the first round. It's just a gambling company approaching a single fighter in the DMs. That is so easy to manipulate and fix. Fix the fights, right? But the problem comes as well is now that the feds are looking at Jason Herzog, and now we've got a real problem. Right, the FBI looking into fighters and betting agency, that is like, can we nip that on the butt? Is there a way that we can stop it? But when you start to talk about the referees being involved, this is where the corruption could start to get really deep. And it also makes you wonder, like, how believable is this, referees being involved? Because we have seen a lot of really weird decisions with the referees. For instance, just this weekend, we saw the referees quite literally break the rules of MMA to get Waldo Ortiz Acosta into the second round against Ante Delija. And this was also confirmed by Ariel Helwani. He said he is going to be reaching out to the Athletic Commission to be like, why did you do this? A replay after a fight-ending sequence shall only be used after a fight has been stopped. Once the instant replay has been used to review a fight-ending sequence, the fight shall not be resumed. This happened this weekend on that same card that there were betting irregularities, right? There was an eye poke happening in a fight finishing sequence, and then apparently, the fight was waived. Can anyone show me anywhere in the rules where it says the referee has to waive the fight over their hands? That's not written in the rules anywhere. No, it never says the referee's got to waive the fight over it. Instead, it's just, but we do have in the rules, you can't do an instant replay during a fight-ending sequence and then just reset the fight. And now all of a sudden in the last 90 days, we've just seen taken backsies allowed back in, which are not allowed at all. We also saw something really weird with Jason Herzog during the Henry Cejudo Sonya Dong fight, where Henry Cejudo was repeatedly saying that he can't see. I can't see, man. I can't see. And Jason Herzog acknowledges that he can't see, and he literally says to him, we're going to start the fourth round, and then at least that way we can get it to a decision. So he starts the fourth round and then instantly calls it off. Like, he is pushing fighters into the fourth round. This is weird. This is very strange stuff. Or what about when we saw the commission rewrite a scorecard in front of our eyes? What are we like? And I have to. That just went nuts. Sorry. They're rewriting the scorecard in front of our eyes. And I have to ask you guys this question. With all the weird refereeing that we see in the UFC, I watch Cage Warriors, I watch Eternal, I watch One Championship, I watch BKFC. To all the hardcores out there that watch all the other organizations, we see weird judging and refereeing during a UFC card every single weekend. How often do you see it in the regional shows? I struggle to think of any times. I'm sure I've seen some weird refereeing. I've seen some bad stoppages. But weird refereeing, where we're going to reset rounds, where we do takesy backsies, where we go to the fourth round just because we need to get to the fourth round for some reason, where we see scorecards being rewritten in front of us. You see the PFL in Abu Dhabi with the weird scorecards being rewritten. They got rewritten, not in live television, but the PFL released scorecards and then released a different set of scorecards afterwards. In high-level MMA, we see the weird refereeing and the weird judging. But we don't see it in low-level MMA, which means, are the commissions involved? And now I move to my next layer of questioning, if are the commissions involved? Because, you know, there was always the TKO, the commissions, they got nothing to do with the UFC. They're completely separate organizations, right? Well, not so fast. They're not so different these days. I mean, TKO and the UFC are literally working to change federal regulation right now. Federal regulation is working to be changed right now to update the Muhammad Ali Act. They are going hand in hand as business partners. We just saw there was overwhelming support from the Californian Athletic Commission to move the changes to the Muhammad Ali Act through Congress, up to the lawmakers. Not through Congress, but up to the lawmakers. So how separate are these bodies really? The UFC handpick. They can say, we don't want this, right? We don't want Mario Yamazaki anymore, but we want Herb Dean. We want Jason Herzog. We want Mark Goddard. So they can pick and choose which referees they want, and they are quite literally working together to change the law. And then you've got fighters admitting to offers actually being made. There's not only that, but the UFC have now switched to in-house testing, right? Yes, we just had Conor McGregor and Muhammad Usman thrown under the bus, but I mean, that's really all we've had lately. I mean, there was that other fighter, that other Dagestani Muslim fighter. I don't remember his name, but we have in-house testing in the UFC. Yeah, we've also, like I said, we've literally seen the referees break the rules and rewrite scorecards. Let's not forget the scales, yeah? Khabib Nurmagomedov's scale never stopped moving against the Justin Gaethje. We just saw 2 weeks ago, Umar Nurmagomedov's scales did not stop moving when he came in to fight Mario Batista. There are so many questions that need to be asked here. Does Dana White and the UFC know exactly what is going on, and they are trying to weigh the scales to make things go in their direction? Now, he could easily say Dana doesn't know shit, but I will point this out. Dana loves gambling. Dana is involved with casino owners, the Fertitta brothers. Dana has been involved in Las Vegas Mafia for a very long time. He was involved with the Mafia back in Boston. He got ran out of Boston for pissing off the Mafia in Boston. And when Dana White rocks up to a casino, he gets given a private room and a line of credit. Now, that's not a brown paper bag on the desk, but that's free money to gamble with from casinos and betting companies. And people have been saying, like, it's all good, it's gonna blow out. Look, this might not come to fruition this year, right? The James Krause situation is still ongoing. The FBI said that they were investigating the fraud that was happening over in the NBA for 4 years. Well, Dana White is obviously very good friends with the Trump administration. They've only got 3 years left. It's November. It's their first year. They've only got 3 years left. Took 4 years. It took a NBA investigation 4 years. Trump's got 3 years being friends with the FBI and MAGA. And then after that, there's a good chance that, you know, the pendulum often swings in both directions. There's a good chance that the Democrats might be in power in 3 or 4 years' time, when a new FBI director takes over what is going over in the UFC. And Trump has been very good to MAGA. I mean, Dana has been very good to MAGA and Donald Trump. And we know how people in the Democrats like to punish people in past administration with lawsuits. This is a storm that is heading towards the UFC. And you can really start to ask, how deep does all of this go? Does it go all the way to Dana White in his closed gambling rooms with a line of credit? Does it stop at just the athletic commissions, who are at one referee, Jason Herzog, even though we have seen multiple referees, Mark Goddard with weird early stoppages, Herb Dean standing over a fighter, acting like he is going to stop it, and then not stopping the fight, and the fight goes into the second round. How deep does this go? Does it go beyond that to the actual running of the commission itself, who are working hand in hand with TKO? Where does the rabbit hole stop? We do not know now. But this is a lot of shit that has come flowing out from one dumbass fighter that told too many people that he was going to get out in the first round. How deep does this go? I don't know, but that seems to be everything that we have come up with so far and what we know so far. This isn't going to be resolved tomorrow. This isn't going to be resolved next year. The UFC is going to continue moving forward as it does. There is also another problem heading towards the UFC, and that is that Ali Abdelaziz, the head of Dominance MMA, needs to show the court all of his records between his conversations with his fighters and the UFC, and it's going to come out. Do the managers work for the fighters, or do the managers work for the UFC to keep them down? is Ali Abdelaziz getting under the money table from the UFC to keep fighter pay down, to keep fighter negotiations going in a certain direction. We saw when Hunter Campbell was pushing Aljamain Sterling to take the Sean O'Malley fight, Aljamain Sterling's manager was just sitting there, zipped up, quiet, not saying shit. So that is also getting added to the shitstorm that is coming towards the UFC as well. Ali Abdullah Bloody Z's, who does he actually work for? Does he work for the UFC or does he work for the managers? He's already been fucked over at the PFL. He was a manager and a fight maker over at the PFL, and he had to get kicked out of the PFL from doing that. That's a whole other video, Ali Abdelaziz. So these multiple rain clouds are heading towards the UFC. Buckle in, cowboys. It's going to be fun. Anyway, that's that. That's what we know so far. That's the theories that we came up with. I think they're fair questions to ask, considering how crazy we've seen the refereeing in the UFC. How deep does the rabbit hole go? I think it's very fair questions to ask. Not saying that I believe that the entire thing is corrupt from top to bottom, but that's the world that we're in now, asking those kind of questions. Anyway, that's it. If this is your first time here, g'day. Welcome. My name is Dougie. I make MMA content every bloody day. Hit that notification bell and that subscription button if you want to know when new content comes out or when we go live. To all the bloody legends of the channel, thank you guys so much. Your names are up on the next slide. And the top 10 best biggers in the Dougie's Corner community. You gotta love it. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Goodbye.